First, I want to start off by saying Instagram is an amazing photo sharing site. As I've done more research on the topic of this video, I've been finding out that it's the love and bane for photographers. Unlike Facebook, Instagram is specifically geared toward photography. Whether you're an amateur or a professional, it's really all about posting, creating photographs and sharing it and getting it out there, as well as video too. Now, with that said, let me share a little bit of background to what inspired me to not only ask this question, but ultimately make this video. All right, let me share with you a quick story about the reason why I decided to even ask this question in the first place. A couple weeks ago, I did an amazing beauty editorial shoot that involved a model and an amazing makeup artist. Now, everybody did a fantastic job. I am not here to bash. I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not here to do anything. It's just a question I wanted to put out there and hear from you. So we did this beauty editorial shoot, and ultimately at the end of the day, we did several looks, and the last look was specifically for us to share and post on Facebook while I'm shopping the rest of the images to multiple magazines, seeing who would want to ultimately publish these images. So with that said, these are specifically made for us to post and share. So that's not the question. That was not the problem. The problem is that when I was finished with one particular image, I sent it to the model, and then she text me back saying, "Hey, I'm going to post it on Instagram. Do you mind if I put a filter on it?" I was like, okay, cool. At least she asked. It took me a minute to kind of figure out what I wanted to say. So I waited a few minutes because my initial reaction was, hell no. But with that said, I want to kind of like be level-headed and kind of see like, okay, what was the reasoning? Trying to think about her perspective. I responded saying, no, I don't like that. Don't do it. It's not what I wanted to do to the image. I edited it and gave you the final image, so that's kind of what I wanted to look like. She explained to me that, I like to add a filter on my Instagram feed. I'm going to use the original photo for my portfolio, etc., etc. And it's the way I like the image to look on my Instagram and stuff like that. And I said, well, it's not, we didn't do the photo shoot specifically or the editing to post on Instagram with your warm filter. She ended up posting it anyway. And I kind of thought like, I took a step back, even though I said I didn't like it. I was like, should I have just said screw it and let her post it anyway? Or should I have been more forceful? But at the same time, she made some good points. I didn't have her sign a release form. I certainly did not initially mention that specific part of the shoot, which was, hey, don't crop it, hey, don't remove or alter or color correct or add stinking filters to my photo. That was my fault, and because of that door was open, and obviously she ran through it. She posted the picture and as well as credited me and the makeup artist and everything else, and that was great. That was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. I had no complaints in the way that she posted it. My whole thing was just, I feel that when you add a filter to my picture, it kind of alters it. So with that said, I want to share with you 3 reasons why, in case you were wondering why photographers hate Instagram filters. Here we go. Reason number 1 is that we are creatives. What you see as a final image many times is the image that we saw in our mind when we captured that photo. From the very second that we press that shutter to the very end when we email you that photo, that is kind of what we envisioned. Number 2 is, when is enough enough? Many times our subject doesn't understand exactly when to pull back or when is too much filter, whether it be saturation, too much contrast, too much highlights, whatever the case. We've spent many hours learning and experimenting and working on that craft on how to use edits wisely. Number 3, ultimately, when you add a filter or alter our image, it says you don't trust us. Now, I'm a big believer in letting a plumber do the plumbing. So with that said, it's our job to worry about the lighting, the editing, how our camera works and functions, when is the best time to shoot, maybe even locations. That's our job. You trust in us, otherwise don't work with us. One is easy, get it in writing. If you don't get it in writing, then there's nothing you could really do to enforce what it is that you hope that they do with your photos. Number 2, clearly share your terms with the model in the initial emails that you guys are corresponding with. Number 3 is very easy. If it happens to you, regardless if you have it written down on paper, everybody agrees to it, regardless of if you sent the initial emails and everybody's nodding their head saying yes, okay, sounds good, and after all that it still happens, well then feel free to take your 5-point toast and get the step in. You have to set the standard as a professional. You have to let them know that, hey, I'm not that photographer that you could just run over. Now, I'm willing to edit my picture if you feel like you want X, Y, and Z done to it. I have no problem doing that. If you want a little bit more shadow, cool. If you want it to be a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler, not a problem. But to just take the image and then slap a crappy filter on it as if I didn't spend any amount of time on it, well, it's ultimately disrespectful, and it's disrespectful to you as a photographer. So why would you take that, especially if it's not paid? And even if it's paid, well, that's up to you whether you want to kind of, you know, give some leeway. Me, I will. If you're paying for my time, then ultimately you're my client, and therefore you can do whatever you want with the picture. But if it's TFP, well, then hell no, you gotta go, and that is kind of where I'm at. So with that said, I want to hear from you. What is your feelings? Do you mind if they crop your photo, downsize it, or in this case, add an Instagram filter to your image? If it doesn't bother you, let me know. If you freaking hate it, let me know. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful for you. If you like this video and you would like to see more, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'm Robert Silver. Keep shooting and stay creative.